Hi visionaries, welcome back to the channel where it is my hope to inspire you to envision more for your lives. If you are new here, hi, welcome. Please subscribe and remember to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday. If you are a returning subscriber, hi, welcome back. On this channel, we talk about all things ADHD, mental well-being, and personal development. So let's jump right into the video. This has been a video that has been on my mind for a long time, just because I get a lot of people that could benefit from this video asking me about, just talking about high school in general. I have a lot of parents reach out to me about their high school students, about their children that are in high school and whatnot, and then just high schoolers in general. So hi, I used to be in high school myself, so believe it or not, and I graduated with a decent grade point average. If you haven't heard my story, you're in for the ride of your life. Let's get into it. So a lot of you have been asking me how to cope with ADHD in high school, and I can only imagine right now that it's even crazier. So what does ADHD in high school even look like? It's gonna look like distractibility and a lack of focus, disorganization and forgetfulness, self-focused behavior, if you can imagine like it being any more than it already is when you're in high school, hyperactivity, fidgeting, heightened emotionality, or rejection sensitive dysphoria. It's basically just super sensitive at the idea of being rejected, impulsivity and poor decision making, trouble concentrating and finishing and accomplishing tasks in time. I was looking into the statistics and some of the scientific data that's out there on the World Wide Web about ADHD. And I think I said this in my last video. Sometimes I don't know what I think about statistics, but this is an interesting dialogue, right? So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. But apparently, according to statistics, about 13.6% of high school students have ADHD. About 32.2% of kids with the combined type ADHD drop out of high school, compared to neurotypical high schoolers. The dropout rate for them is about 15%. So that's like double the possibility of somebody dropping out of high school just because they probably are undiagnosed and don't realize it, overwhelmed, distracted, can't get good grades. What's the point? Might as well quit. Impulse decision. I'm done. I'm over high school. The chances of somebody with ADHD dropping out of high school, I feel like, are clearly, obviously, way higher than with somebody with a neurotypical brain that can go to class, pay attention, not even study, and pass the test with 100%. I know people like that, and it's really infuriating. No, I'm actually happy for them. Good for them. But for the students that do have ADHD and do finish high school, their GPA, their overall grade point average, is lower than those that don't have ADHD as well, which makes sense, especially if you're underdiagnosed. I was not diagnosed with ADHD, and the first semester I had a 1.6 GPA. I had all C's, D's, and F's the first semester. Second semester, I, changed my act around by the miracle, literally, of God, and I got a 3.6 that second semester, and I ended up graduating high school with a 3.0, but that first semester GPA haunted me all the days of my life. So I definitely agree, or I can imagine that if you don't know you have ADHD, or you have ADHD and you're just struggling with your symptoms and focusing, and especially right now in the year that we've had this past year, I can imagine that those with ADHD probably struggle a little bit more than people that don't. ADHD does not affect your IQ. It doesn't mean that you're stupid. It does not affect your IQ at all. You can have a high IQ and have ADHD. It just, your grades might be affected a little bit different because it affects more your ability to focus on the right things, not necessarily focus on things that you like or care about. So this next little factoid affects me beyond our high school years is that about 5% of ADHD students actually finish and graduate college when they go on to college, compared to their neurotypical classmates. About 40% of people that go on to college actually finish and get their college degree. So I am a college dropout like 3 times over. And let me tell you, like, that's a whole nother video. I did not do well in college at all. Now that we've gone through all those fun little statistics and a little tidbit on college, let me just share with you a quick overview of my high school experience. I've talked about this before, but I think that it's time to bring it up again. I went from LA Unified, which is not a great school district, and moved to Missouri into a really good school district, and it was a battle for me to catch up. I wasn't aware that I wasn't, doing great because I was kind of oblivious. I think I was just like in my own ADHD lost world in middle school, and somehow scraped by and got to 9th grade. In 9th grade, I was still living the aftermath of my formative years in LA with really like bad building blocks of spelling, mathematics, grammar. My grammar was terrible. And then that just bled into middle school when I was in like one of those little special reading groups that I didn't even I wasn't aware that I needed help reading because I loved reading so much. So by the time I got to high school, you know, I wasn't a good typer, I wasn't a good essay writer, I wasn't a good mathematician. It was really hard for me first semester of freshman year. I got literally, I wish I could find my high school grades. I think they're around here somewhere, but I had no A's or B's. I think I had a C in art, and I don't even know what other class, but I had all D's, F's, and C's. I had no good grades. My GPA that semester was 1.6. So we're talking like really, really, really crappy grades. It was the mark of shame for me, and something in my heart told me what nobody had told me in my life, which is you're not stupid. My mom, God love her, she was going through a lot at the time, and she just wasn't able to focus on me, and it was like, send your kids to school, they'll take care of them kind of thing. And I come home and she would provide for me and cook for me and got me clothes and everything, but my education was never in the forefront of her mind or anybody else's mind. Second semester of freshman year, I remember in my heart, I had started getting really involved with my church. And for those of you that know, I'm a Christian, and God's always been like one of the first loves of my life. And I loved him ever since I was little. And I just prayed to him. And I was like, God, I know I'm not stupid. Please help me turn my life around and help me to get better grades. Of course, Gloria Estefan, Turn the Beat Around, is now stuck in my head. Is that even Gloria Estefan? So second semester, freshman year, started focusing on my grades. They gave me a little high school planner. I started using my planner. Every time a teacher talked about an assignment or when something was due, I would write it on the due date, and I would write it on the day that they told us, you know, you have a test next week. So I'd write test next week on that day, and then I'd put it on the following week, whatever day the test was due. So I actually started using my planner. I really liked it. I just liked school supplies, and I don't know, I was a Lisa Frank girl. One other thing is I would fall asleep in a lot of classes. So try to put your classes in an order that you won't be falling asleep in the wrong classes. Maybe put PE first to jumpstart your day and have art after lunch or something like that. That's just another thought. I will never forget when I would fall asleep in math class and fall asleep in history class of my freshman year. That was the year that I was a really bad student though. So pick classes that are engaging, put your classes in order that keep you at peak mentality. I had an early hour class, which was PE. That's probably how I survived junior year. I don't know how I did it, but let me tell you, looking back now and knowing how important exercise is, it must have been like a godsend that was how I rearranged my junior year, because junior year was probably the hardest for me other than that first semester. That is my quick version of high school in a nutshell. Coping mechanisms for students in high school and college, if this counts. I would recommend telling your parents that you think that you might have ADHD. I know this has been a soft subject for some of my viewers. Your parents don't believe you, or they don't validate that feeling that you have, and they maybe just think that you're lazy or that you're not trying hard enough. Take this advice. I'm not a doctor, so bear with me here. I'm just suggesting this. I did not know I had ADHD in high school, and I never had to approach a parent. It might alleviate some of the tension in the household if they're making you feel a certain way, that you're not trying hard enough, or that you're lazy, or that you're not focused, and yada yada. It might direct them in a way to help you get help. If you don't want to and you don't feel safe and it's just not something you want to approach, you can at least talk to your teachers. You could talk to the counselor, to you, resources at the high school. Tell them, I don't know if I have ADHD and I'm not able to get diagnosed right now, or I don't have the resources to do that right now, but I just know that I struggle to stay focused. I struggle with time tests. I struggle with math class. I struggle with this, and my energy level and all this stuff. And teachers would accommodate you, maybe give you the test verbally or whatnot. Your teachers want you to succeed, and they love students that they know are interested in their subject. They might end up, guiding you. Like, teachers might end up throwing a dog a bone here. I've had teachers really help me with certain tests and certain things and kind of let me know what angle to really focus more on. And I would really just let your teachers know that you think that you might have ADHD, and or that, I kind of need some help in this class. So this is my other recommendation, is to plan your day around your energy levels. So this was actually a little tip from my sister. My older sister actually has ADHD undiagnosed. She's the one that told me she thinks I have it. And she would plan her school schedule around when she could fall asleep in what class. If you in the morning are really alert, why don't you make your really difficult classes in the morning if you're wide awake and it's easier for you to focus. And then if you get tired during the day or afterwards, maybe make your more fun classes at the end of the day so it kind of keeps you awake because you're excited. Or if in the mornings you're kind of groggy, make the classes that kind of keep you engaged or they're just kind of chill and easy to go into, like your art classes, or if history is one of your favorite subjects like mine, make the more easygoing classes early in the morning and then kind of wake up more in the afternoon like me. Put your more difficult classes at the end of the day so it's not something you're going to be struggling to stay focused in. Just my thoughts. Also, I would recommend trying to incorporate as many fun classes into your high school and college education that you can get away with. Electives were a godsend. I know that for my sister Emily, she would pick art classes. She had an art class every semester of her high school year. Art was her one subject that she had all A's in all the time, every class, and she's a phenomenal artist. So she definitely had art in every single semester. And my love of my life, although I did take most art classes, I loved history. And I actually had senior year, art was not an option. They got rid of AP art my senior year. So instead, I filled it in with every single history class I could possibly fathom. And I had 2 history classes every semester of senior year. So I think that's 8 history classes. It was the same teacher. He had kind of eclectic history topics like World War II or the Civil War and things like that. And I took every single one of his classes, and it was literally my favorite class ever. And he was my favorite teacher when I look back on my high school days. And I talk about this all the time, but I would recommend practicing or implementing the Pomodoro technique into your studying habits to the best of your ability, whether it be homework sessions or study sessions. Basically, the Pomodoro technique, if you don't remember me talking about it, is just setting a timer for how long you want to study and only focus on that. And once you're done, you could reward yourself with a step away session of eating a snack or listening to a song or putting on makeup. I don't know, whatever you want to do. I love putting on makeup for fun, but then take a break and then come back to studying. Don't make it this daunting, never-ending study session, because we like to shoot for the stars with ADHD and then we just quit. We don't even make it to the moon. We just are like, oh, never mind. I forget that. Make a realistic time frame for studying, and I recommend the Pomodoro technique. So I feel like this one might be the obvious one, but I also recommend in high school to get a tutor. Whether it be an actual tutor or if you have a really smart friend that can help you with your studies, I recommend getting a study buddy, a study partner. A lot of times in high school, you're just being like water hosed with all this information that by the time you even get home, you don't even remember what you really retained because you're just trying to make it through the day. And it's kind of like you can finally let go, relax, and really take a moment to just reassess and reevaluate what it is that you went through that day, whether it be your history class or math class, and just review whatever it is that you went through. And it kind of doubles down on your memory, like, oh yeah, that is what we went over. And it just is able for you to like review every day what you learned that day. It basically reiterates into your brain what it is you needed to learn. So it's not so foreign the next time the teacher brings it up, or if it happens to be on the test that day. I would cram sometimes, but a lot of times in high school, I would review things at the end of the day that I learned that day. So by the time it comes up on the quiz or the test or the midterms or whatever, it's there somewhat, or at least I'm able to recall it a little bit easier because I refresh my memory along the way. And I would also recommend real quick to get a tutor or have your friends understand your ADHD a little bit better so they're a little patient with you, and maybe they might explain things in a different way that your brain can understand, because sometimes we just don't understand things the way people explain them to us. For me, I had to ask a lot of why questions. I always wanted to know why. If you're struggling with making friends and connecting in high school, maybe pick an extracurricular activity after school, whether it be sports or cheer or band or theater or music or choir, anything like that. ADHD brains thrive in the extracurricular activities and the musical and entertainment kind of activities of high school. And that might be an area that you can kind of like relax and just let loose. Even try out for the school play. You might surprise yourself, and it might be something that you really, really love that gets you that social component to your life that you've been missing if you don't feel like you can connect with people in your, class to class experiences. Because in high school, there was times where I just really didn't connect with anybody in my class. It just was by default who ended up being in that class with me. And if that was my whole high school experience, I'd be miserable. I got super involved in art and got really, really involved in working after school with the art programs in my high school. And I loved it. I got so excited, and I got involved in the theater aspect a little bit, doing the set design and stuff like that. But art was a big deal for me. Another thing I suggest, if there's not anything at school that you're really interested in, don't just give up there. I would recommend volunteering in something in your community, whether it be at a church, or if you like animals, you can volunteer at your local humane society of your city or wherever you're living. Just because you're not connecting at school doesn't mean you can't find some sort of community to connect with. I got really, really involved in my church in my adolescent years, and that was, if not a part of, if it was probably more so my kind of formative years of social interaction. I was really involved in my church, and I made really, really lifelong friends at the church from my youth group and high school. I'm still friends with people from my high school and still friends with close people from my church time growing up. So I would recommend just getting involved in anything.
You can get involved in the bird sanctuary, which I would totally do if I was a kid, and just help wild birds.
Because that's something I want to do now. The bottom line is basically connecting with peers of your age range in any way that feels right for you, because making friends is just as important as studying for your SATs and ACTs and things of that nature. One other topic that I wish I would have known when I was in high school is to avoid junk food and sugar and processed food as much as possible, because it does have a tendency to make your symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity to be a little bit more
outward.
If you can limit the amount of junk food that you're eating, it could help your ADHD symptoms be a little bit more calm. Try to eat things that are filling and might last a little longer, but eating pizza and candy and soda in high school is probably not the best thing to help you stay awake, focus, and alert, and to get good grades. And I'm preaching to the choir, because that is a lot of what I ate, because that is what my school provided, and that is, my mom gave me money, and there was a vending machine on every corner at my high school. So I feel you, but I would recommend trying to see if there wasn't any way that you could eat a little bit healthier, or at least drink more water, things of that nature. And this last one, I feel like everybody knows by now, but prayer is a big important thing in my life, and God is important to me. I'm a Christian, and I feel truly that when I reached out to God, He's the one that helped me stay focused and care about me and get better grades. Freshman year, when I had the bad grades, I remember that break in between the 2 semesters. I went to church, and at some point in the church service, I remember it was me and God alone. Nobody cared about my grades. Nobody was focused on my grades. I just told God, I'm really struggling, and I just pray that you really help me to turn my act around. In the second semester, I prayed the whole way through. I carried Him with me. He's been my best friend all my life, most of my life. But
except the year that I kind of ignored Him.
But I recommend praying. It really turned my life around. And I also recommend just taking a moment to get some quiet time in high school. There's a lot of things coming at you, whether it be TikTok, videos, YouTube, friends, social media, all of that kind of stuff. Take a moment to just be by yourself, because you're going to be your own best friend. And the quicker you can realize that you're awesome, and that, just get used to you. Go do something by yourself, and go on a walk or something if you live in a safe neighborhood. Sit out in your backyard if there's a swing in your backyard, or I don't know, whatever it is that you can do to have a moment of peace and quiet, whether it just be sit in your shower a little bit longer, having a moment of calmness. Just pray and just ask God to just give you strength and just inner peace, and that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through high school. It's not the end of the world. I know right now it could seem a little hopeless and a little bleak, and things are a little difficult right now with the way things have gone the past year and a half, but there's a lot of life left to live, especially if coming from a high school. Or looking back at that time period, I remember just feeling like, the world was so overwhelming and it was never going to end, and That is my video for today. I hope that you got something out of it. If there's anything that I forgot or didn't touch on, or you want to add, by now, please let me know in the comment section below. I always love hearing from you. If you feel like somebody in your life might benefit from this video, please share it with anybody that would like it. Please remember to subscribe and to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday. And you must know by now that you are all seriously in my prayers. I'm really grateful for all of you, and I'm so grateful for this community. So please enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.